Well, Denis, great to spend some time with you, mate. 25 years since '99. It was a really special era for the club, but there were sort of two eras for the club in terms of your coaching reign here. There was the first year, there's so much success that you had as the under-19s coach at North. Through that period, I think it was 5 winning grand finals in 9 or 10 years. It was a super period of time for the club. A lot of those guys ended up, strangely enough, becoming really, really good senior players, and then you got to coach them again later on as a senior coach.
Yeah, I was very lucky. I knew them sort of intimately, and their capabilities, and they'd all grown, and I knew there was a lot of talent there. And when I came in '93, most of them had done their apprenticeship at senior level, and blokes like McKernan and Carey and Longmire had already been established, and there were so many good blokes coming through, and I was very lucky to get the job, and we just took off straight away. It was amazing. When I look back on it now, just don't believe that could happen.
Yeah. It was strange because obviously part of the era as well, both the under-19s and the seniors with you. But I can recall the perception around that time. You and Slug Jordan were the preeminent coaches at under-19 level, and suggesting, perhaps Pagan, really good junior coach, but not sure he can coach men. Well,
no doubt about that. Everyone was saying that, even to the point when they had the interview for the job. There were 3 of us. Dermot was in for it. Rodney Ube was in for it, and I was asked to do a presentation. And I think, being a punting man, I think Dermot was 6-4 favourite. Rodney was probably 7-2, and I was 33-1. And I just took it. I was coaching Essendon reserves at the time, and Dermot pulled out, and it just got between me and Rodney. And I don't know how I won it, but I know the criticism was that he's only a junior coach, and I don't know who swung it, but anyway, I got the job, and just seems like yesterday. It just took off.
Yeah, I don't think many would perhaps realise that the way you and Slug coach was that you did coach us lads like men, and taught us some pretty hard lessons and some really, really strong values on not just football but also life very, very early on. So it didn't surprise any of us, even though it was hard work coming through the under-19s in terms of how hard we trained and how disciplined we need to play for the team. It didn't surprise any of us that you were able to transfer that straight into coaching men when you got the opportunity at North in the seniors.
Yeah, but we had a lot of guys, even at under-19 level like yourself, who were tough and played like men. It was half the battle, and I was able to convince the players that we were fitter than anybody else, and we were harder. And it didn't matter where we were in any stage of the game. They thought they could win, and that just carried on into the seniors. And to have John Kennedy and Shimmer, coaching before I took over, a lot of their values and principles, was cemented in the players, and it made it so much easier.
Can you talk us about a really unusual 12-month period where you left North and you got the opportunity with Sheeds at Essendon and Dave Whedon, and just the learning that you received by in another club, another environment, and the learning from Sheeds and Dave, and just how instrumental that was, because you took the Essendon reserve side to a premiership in '92 with some pretty decorated stalwarts of the Essendon Footy Club, but also another bunch of kids who went on to win the flag for the Bombers in '93.
Well, it was funny, it got to the end of the year, and Johnny Law was a North Melbourne stalwart, so reliable, and captain of the club, and he was coaching the 2s. The under-19s were disbanded, and there wasn't a role for me, and I didn't know what to do, and I only ended up in the under-18 competition. But Kevin rang me one night at about 20-12, like he normally does, and Cheryl answered the phone. I was sound asleep in bed, and she said, "Kevin Chudy on the phone." I said, "Turn it up." 20-12. Anyway, I took the call. He asked me to come up to Essendon and have a chat with him. I think Ron Evans was pressuring him to get a reserves coach. We didn't have one at that stage. Anyway, took the job, and I met David Whedon, who's a dear friend of mine, and he had a different slant on football, and so many of his sort of ideas and technical strategies and that sort of stuff I took halfway, pitched a bit of this, put it that. And when you're a coach, you've got a big melting pot, and this bloke here, you learnt that off him, and you chuck it in your pot, and this bloke here, and all the people you mix, and then you meet, you mix it all up, and then all of a sudden that's you, and that's how you develop as a coach. And it was a great experience going to Essendon, and I'm glad I did it. If I'd have stayed at North Melbourne, probably would have been the same old things, and I learned so much more getting out and about.
Yeah, well, my observation, and everyone talks this language now, but this whole concept of game plan, which everyone just throws off their tongue so easily, that wasn't part of the vernacular before you came back to North Melbourne in '93. And I could only imagine that was part of your experience with Essendon and Dave and Kevin.
Well, it was with David. Kevin was big on that stuff. But I had philosophy of, I loved the way Tommy Hafey team played with Royce Hart at centre half forward, and just met David, and just sitting down and just formalise it, kick it long and direct, don't kick the 50-50 contest, first player without pressure, kick the ball, no forward handballs, just basic sort of stuff. Yeah. But you watch it now, and the number of times sides make errors, and number of forward handballs or extra handballs when they could have kicked the ball, and it's amazing when you look at it. It's probably ingrained in my mind, and I'm a believer of it. But there are so many new coaches coming and got their own rules and requirements and that sort of stuff, and that's how they've been successful. So, Yabby Jeans, what did he say? You can winning football teams are like sausages. The way they win is you can either grill them, you can fry them, you can boil them, and it's still the same. Yeah. It's the same with game plans and strategies.
Yeah, through that era, mainly because of obviously Wayne Carey, Johnny Longmire, but set up what became a catch cry, Pagan's Paddock. Did that? How did that evolve? And
well, it was in the under-19s probably. Lee Tudor played half forward here, and we used to, if you had a marking forward, we used to push everybody up. Obviously the defenders would go with the forwards, so it was virtually concertina football, squeezed up, kick to the big target. If he was crowded, kick it over the back, and Lee Tudor would just run onto it and kick 4 and 5 goals every second week, running into open goals. Defenders could, if they were quick, they could run and get the ball, but they still had to turn around and go the other way. Yeah. Whereas our forwards just run on, kick it off the ground and pick it up or kick a goal. Yeah. And it really worked well. And I tried it at senior level at the start, and all of a sudden it really worked well again there.
Yeah. Well, Brett Ellison became a master at Rocky and those sorts
Rocky
of guys.
And that, they did. And you look at it now, and I get that frustrated when I see blokes get the ball on the wing and they hold, they look over there, they look over there, look over there, then they go long to a contest. Well, if you're going to go long to a contest, why not play them quickly?
Do it earlier, yeah. The north side at the start of '93, got beaten comprehensively. Shimmer had just been reappointed as coach, beaten comprehensively in a game against Adelaide, a pre-season game, by I think it was something like 140 points. Yeah. The SOS call came in terms of Shimmer departing as coach, and you going through it must have been a very, very quick process, really, because we needed a coach quickly. But I only said in a press conference today, I can remember playing a practice match here against Collingwood. I think we played the Dogs or Geelong or somewhere up in the bush.
Yeah, at Bendigo.
And we played here. It was still a practice game at Arden Street, and we were walking off the ground at half time. We were in front by a little margin, and Tony Shaw was yelling at us, "Where have you blokes all of a sudden grown a heart?"
Yeah, I remember Craig Scholl talk about it.
Sholly used to tell the story, because Sholly was the one that relayed it to us. But he, Tony Shaw instantly recognised that the North Melbourne that got trounced 3 weeks ago was a very different North Melbourne that we're playing right now. And then we went on to play Collingwood at Victoria Park when Adrian McAdam went nuts. He's that first season of '93. That was extraordinary what he was able to do.
That sticks in my memory of the best home and away win. I went to Collingwood Tech, knew the area pretty well. We played our school games there every Wednesday. As a player going there, the race there behind the goals, you know, you'd walk up there, they'd pour beer on you, perhaps even urinate on you, and you had no comeback.
Yeah.
That day there, when Adrian McAdam kicked 9, and we pushed everybody up, and he was left in the goal square with Mick Gaffer, and 5 minutes into the last quarter, just to see the Collingwood supporters streaming out of the ground and up the terraces and out the back was something to live in my memory till the day I die, because every time I'd gone there as a player, we got our backsides kicked and belted and, you know, abused till you got into your car on the way home, and it was, I'm sure it was the same for everybody. And
well, those suburban grounds, they were so tough to win at, you know, the Windy Hill and Victoria Park, and they're great grounds, weren't they?
Yeah, they were, and things happened in those days. You know, it just seems like yesterday we were playing out at Western Oval, and you're tagging, and Libba and all the Italian stallions, they were pinching you, and you had all welts all up your back. Yeah. And I remember asking you to pull your jumper up, and I thought, Jesus, what's going on? It was different. It was different then. Yeah. And the sort of memories that stick in your mind, and I'll never forget that too. You know, there was things like that. Yeah.
So that era, you started coaching the seniors here at North in 93. We were stiff. There's a different sort of around that period they changed the structure of the final system. You know, we were on top for most of the year, and we lost a couple of games late in the year.
A couple of injuries, I think. Someone done a knee and someone done a shoulder. I think Johnny Longmire might have done a knee or something. Yeah,
we dropped to third by the end of the home and away, and unfortunately for us, we then played the team who was sixth on the ladder, that were the reigning premiers from last year in West Coast, the previous year from West Coast, and so third played sixth, and in most instances you think you're probably going to win that encounter, but you know, when you're up against the reigning premier with the confidence of finals from the previous year, they just we'd played so well throughout the course of the home and away. We really needed the final series to be at the end of August rather than the end of September that year. But it was a terrific year.
Well, we looked so fatigued and so tired. You know, that during the year, I think we might have won 10 or 11 games on the trot, and we're on the ladder for probably top of the ladder, number one on the ladder for 13 or 14 weeks.
Yeah,
but it just fell about. And it was such a remarkable turnaround, and everyone was that excited, especially the board, that we'd done so well. You know, and you probably think to yourself, how did it happen? It happened, and was able to continue for a while.
Yeah, I know I've used it in my coaching a lot. You know, the philosophy, and I can't remember you indoctrinated so much at the time, or whether it was something post when we reflected back, but this philosophy of just trying to get yourself to top four every time, and sometimes the door will open with that opportunity, which happened for North, despite, you know, getting to 7 prelims. You sort of half say to yourself, "Oh, I only won 2. They're bloody hard to win."
Oh, gee, tell us about it.
But you don't win in 98 when we don't win in 93 when we're the best side in the competition. 90 and the Bombers, who come from nowhere, they win it in 93. But the Bombers in 99, when they're the best team in the competition, they don't win it, and North pop up and win it.
Well, the best side doesn't win grand final that day. The best side on the day wins.
Yeah.
I think back to 93, and gee, we could have, if only. I look back at, 94 in the preliminary final against Geelong, and if Glenn Archer doesn't kick long to a contest, which I'd been driven into him, and had it just taken his time and kicked wide and short.
That ball doesn't bounce back to Ablett.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you win the game, and I was confident that the way that Wayne was playing, he was on one leg, and he kicked 6 against Hawthorn and 6 against Geelong, and he would have been right. He recovered. He tore a calf muscle, soleus muscle in his calf, and who knows what would have happened if he had got into the grand final. I was confident we were a better side than West Coast, but
he kicked all those goals in that extra time game out at Waverley against Hawthorn. Yeah, that's right. I recall that.
Yeah. And you think of it. Well, we kicked 3-9 to nothing in that time on game, and I look back at that game there. Then I look at the Hawthorn team with Dunstall and Platten and those sorts of blokes and all their stars.
Yeah.
Gee, it was a good win by North.
Yeah. Out at the old Waverley.
Yeah, it was, and that brings back great memories too. And it's a pity that it's not like it was once.
Yeah. Can you talk us through the experiences of 94, 95, before the side finally triumphed in 96 in that era, and how important it was for the players to actually go through that hardship and disappointment of losing finals, and the expectation that they perhaps could have played in a grand final or won one, and how important that was as a catalyst to try and win in 96.
Yeah, it was amazing. 93 and 94, a lot of people would have thought, oh, they've wasted opportunities. They were a good side north. Is Pagan good enough to coach them to get over the line? It's all very well coaching well in home and away football. And, you know, after 93, I thought it was a wasted year. In 94, I thought we were the best side in 94. But we get beaten by a kick in our own, perhaps common sense, or I won't say the word stupidity, make errors in the dying moments of the game. But look, if the game went for 2 minutes, you could perhaps blame them, but it doesn't. It goes over 4 quarters, and we made a lot of errors early, and so did Geelong. But we lost that. We come into 95. And Carlton were the best side and just belted everybody, and we got to a preliminary final in 95, and they belted us, and you know, they won the premiership, and they were really good and a good side. And you start to think, and again, you know, your aspersions, people say, oh, but Pagan, I don't think he can get the job done. He was an under-19 coach. And then, you know, Ron Casey, who was president at the time, and he was a great asset for the club, he came to me and he said, you know what? I said, what's that, Ron? He said, look, you just keep finishing in the top 4 each year. Your time will come and we'll be happy then.
Yeah.
Well, it took a lot of pressure off. 96, we had a good season. I think Sydney were favourites. Rodney's a very good coach, and he was able to get his numbers back behind the ball and flood, and it sort of compounded a lot of teams. We just said, look, I must have been going through my second child. I was talking to people about total football. What was the Dutch soccer coach? I can't even think of his name now.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and we just said, well, look, we're just going to, everyone's an attacker, everyone's a defender. You got one opponent, no positions today, and that was the mentality we went into that grand final.
Yeah.
It looked like it was going to backfire at quarter time, because we were behind by 3 or 4 goals, and 5 minutes into the second quarter, Paul Kelly breaks free from the centre bounce. Lockett's on the charge. He'd already kicked 3 goals on Mick, and it was a simple kick to hit him on the chest, and he fluffed it. Yeah. We rebounded down. Glenn Freeborn came onto the ground. He kicked 3 goals in the space of 5 minutes. We got some momentum, and we were 2 points in front at half time.
Yeah.
And never looked back from there, and the strategy worked okay. And if you look at the Ian Fairley, in the dying moments of the game when we had it won, he followed his opponent down to the forward line and took the mark,
yeah,
and kicked the goal. It was sort of something that sticks out, and you think, gee, everyone did as they were told, and
he was a centre half back, Floss, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was centre half back, and it's just something that sticks in your memory as well. That goal, amazing.
Yeah.
So that was 96. The monkeys off the back. 97, we were a good side and we played well again, but Corey was injured, Wayne was injured. We had a lot of injuries right on the finals. It was not an excuse, and I would never use that as an excuse, but we got belted by St Kilda, and we were out in the preliminary final. That probably hurt. I can remember we used to have a theme at the start of each year. I can't remember what it was at the start of 98, but we started off, and we ended up getting to another grand final. We'd played 11 night games leading up to the grand final, and grand final day was 30 degrees and very sultry, and we came in at half time. We could have been 6 goals in front at half time. We missed some easy shots. I think it was 6 goals, 15 at half time, and everyone in the rooms was cheering and clapping. I can remember Judy Francis yelling out, and I had to tell her to shut up. And everyone the trainers were clapping. It was amazing.
Just thinking we're past the post
already. I went
already.
off my head and told them, for crying, it's only half a game. And went out and Andrew McLeod started running off half back. He had the ball on a string, and the Jarman came to kicking around corners and kicked 3 or 4, and we got beat. We kicked, I don't know, what was it, 8-22 or something, and got beaten by 30 points. And you think, gee, what a wasted opportunity. We were the best side. We could have played that grand final, I reckon, 10 times. Next 10 weeks, I reckon we would have won the next 10, but it wasn't on the day. And that was it. The next year, we went out. We were 1-3 at round 4, I think, in '99. Essendon were the best side by a mile. Get beaten by a point. I remember sitting in the grandstand with Tony Elshaw, got Tony Elshaw to scribe to write the rumour notes all about Essendon, and Carlton get up and win with a Fraser Brown tackle. So I just said, look, grab your notes and throw them in the rubbish tin, and we'll just go and write them up again. Yeah. And we were not the best side in '99. Essendon were, but you look back and you think, gee, I can still remember. I used to go for a swim up at Essendon Pool. I remember driving my car up there, and the supporters before their preliminary final, it was on the Thursday before the preliminary final, were queuing up for grand final tickets. And they went down Napier Street, around the corner, went for about a kilometre.
Put the cart before the horse.
Yeah. And I reckon the players saw it, and everyone thinking about grand finals, and it was amazing. We got under their guard, Essendon, and had a good win, but we certainly weren't the best side in the competition in '99. Yeah. And then a few things happened here, a few disasters, and just ebbed away a little bit. And North were still a good side, but there was just something missing from the whole culture and the whole place. And I thought, gee, I've coached so many of these guys for such a long while, and maybe they need a good coach. And I'm sure some board members were thinking maybe we need a new coach too. Just moved on and probably made the biggest mistake of my life, going to a club that I shouldn't have gone to. Yeah.
What are you looking forward to come Sunday to catch up with some of these guys and coaches and others that were around the club at that period of time?
Well, you know what, I just want to be able to go up and shake hands with everyone. That's what I'm going to do. And you get to my age, and so many of my mates and friends and people that I know are falling off the perch. You just don't know when your lucky number's going to come up. And I just think there's a bond. I was at the races last week at Flemington, and I heard a bloke say, "G'day, Denis." And I turned around, it was Scotty Welsh. I said, "What are you doing? I haven't seen you for 20 years. He's come across for the races. Yeah. And just to be able to look, some of the Anthony Stevens and Glenn Archer and Wayne Carey, you see them a lot. But Shannon Motlop and Shane Clayton, those sorts of blokes. I just want to shake hands with them and perhaps have a beer or a glass of Shiraz with them and say, look, that was just special times, and I hope you've benefited from it, because, I said that framework and has been part of the scaffolding and the rich tapestry of the North Melbourne Football Club. And you look at it now, and as I said the other night, I don't reckon you can live in the past, but I reckon you've got to know where you come from to know where you're going. Yeah. And North Melbourne's history has been rich, and you go back to Essendon fought for them to not to come into the VFL because they were going to lose. They had the areas, the zones then of Flemington and Kensington. Essendon were able to pull players from there. Yeah. Whereas eventually got in 1925. It's terrible for 20 years. Some of those seasons never won a game. And then made the finals in 45, played off in a grand final against Essendon in 1950, and it just started slowly turning over. But think of the despair and the disappointment during those lean years, and think of North Melbourne and what a unique club it was to be able to survive. And my father-in-law would tell you stories about people working at the abattoirs, finishing work at 1:30. Pick up their kit bag, walk up to Epsom Road or down to Macaulay Road, stop at Hardiman's for a couple of beers, come down, take their work boots off, covered with blood and guts from the abattoirs, put stops into them, and run run out and play. And I think of some of those players in the 50s, you know, like the Jock Spencers, the Kevin Dinans, the Les Foots, and, you know, those sorts of people. And they used to come down when I was coaching here, Les Foot, and you think, gee, this is what made North Melbourne, these sorts of blokes.
Well, the struggles and the adversity is what's part of the journey, isn't it? And that's what when you finally do salute, you know, you hope that your supporters and those that have been involved in the footy club have been there for the whole journey through the tough times, and when you finally salute, it makes it all the more rewarding, doesn't it?
Well, you were there and you saw the Ron McIntoshes and the Jack Skullcastle, and you know Orb Devlin and Judy Francis. And old Ronnie used to call me Clark Allison. Daniel Jason Chenko. He always get. What do you call Ross Glendenning?
Glenn Ross Denning.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were good times. But I'm so pleased that you're going to get the chance to spend some time with all these guys on Sunday. A lot of them are ex-teammates, and you know, spent a really special time at this footy club, and you were the one that were able to band them together and allow them to have that bond for the rest of their lives as premiership teammates. So enjoy the day, and thanks so much for what you've done for our footy club.
And thank you for taking over when we needed you most, son.
Good on you, mate.
Yeah.